Hello, everyone, and welcome to my series, The Art of Leading, Captivating Leadership Narratives, all part of the stuff that growth is made of. I'm excited to introduce you to Nicolas Orzabal, CEO of Cloud Gaia and one of my founding members of my Vistage CEO Peer Advisory Group. Happy New Year, Nico.
Happy New Year to you too.
I hope you had a lovely holiday season.
Oh, yes, it was very nice with my family here in Buenos Aires. And thank you for having me.
Good. Well, I'm a huge fan, and I admire how you've navigated this past year, which I know has been one of change for you as a leader and for your organization. So I'm really looking forward to our discussion today.
Thank you.
So let's start with just sharing an overview of who is Cloud Gaia, including and what do you do and who your target client is.
Okay. So Cloud Gaia is a professional services consulting firm specialized in Salesforce.com implementation and development. I started Cloud Gaia in 2016 together with three other founding members. But I started my relationship with Salesforce in 2004 as a customer. So it's going to be this year, it's 20 years working with Salesforce. I fell in love with the technology and with the company and how they grew and how they managed the culture of their company. So when I started Cloud Gaia, one of the first things that I discussed with my founding members was what kind of culture we wanted to build Cloud Gaia on. So what we do is we help companies with the implementation, with the adoption, and with making the most out of their Salesforce instance. We have professionals with more than 20 years experience doing this. We have been doing it for many different industries in a lot of different countries from, Spain, UK, the US, and Latin America, even in Australia. We have many different implementations in many different industries. So that's in a nutshell, what Cloud Gaia is all about. Today, we're about 260 people. We're distributed in 7 different countries. We have offices and people in Spain, in Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and the US.
What I love is that you've been on both sides of working with Salesforce. As you start as a customer, you really get to understand, are you a fan or not, right? And then to be able to build a business around it, it obviously says a lot.
Definitely. When I started in 2004, the first thing I told my manager is that if I'm going to do a Salesforce implementation, I need to get trained. And at that moment, the only way to get trained was to fly to San Francisco and get on-site training. At that moment, Salesforce was only 5 years old. It was a new technology, small company out of half a floor in One Market Street where Salesforce was initially started. And I took a training that we were only 15 people, and out of the 15 people, it was probably 13 were Salesforce employees learning their own technology. So since that moment, I started learning and I started understanding what were the capabilities, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's great. But and I know the audience that we have today, it's 99.9% US based. And I know that's a real target, a key piece of your client base and a target for further growth. It'd be great even for you to share a little bit as part of the overview of Cloud Gaia is, what makes you unique, right? What's your competitive advantage as you sit in Buenos Aires?
So, one of our key differentiators is we have a lot of experience. We have been around with working with Salesforce for many years. Our customers are companies from, Coca-Cola in Europe and now in the US, to small companies that want to deploy 5 to 10 users, but mainly companies that want to make a lot more out of their Salesforce implementation. Our key differentiator, since we are in Argentina, mainly in all different countries of Latin America, is that we are in the same time zone, and we can make, with all the experience and with all the things that we have done on the platform, being in the same time zone and being able to charge prices that are a lot more competitive than companies that are only US based. With COVID and with the fact that everyone is working remote these days, the fact that we are not, 100% located in the same place, it's not a barrier anymore.
Right.
It's not a problem. Everybody is working remote and everybody is doing their job. So we are in the same time zone. We are very affordable and we have a lot of experience, and we have a lot of customers that testify that. We have a lot of success implementations in US, in Europe, and in Latin America.
And names that people would know. So thank you for sharing that.
Definitely.
So good. So just changing topics a little bit, I'd love for you to share your career journey. You talked a little bit about it, but to your current leadership role. I know you started with partners, and although that you still have partners, I mean, your role has changed along the way. So would love for you to share that with the audience.
Definitely. So, initially, when we started Cloud Gaia, the 4 founding partners, we distribute the roles between us. And so I was CEO since day one. I leaded the company. And then Francisco Keki was head of sales, and Francisco Orzabal, my brother, was head of operations and head of the delivery team. And Santiago Ramos Mejia was head of people, so our chief people officer. And in the last year, we changed that, and the 3 of them got in a more, overseeing role as part of the board of directors, not in a day-to-day role. And I'm leading the company still as the CEO with a more professional team, that it's a new team that is managing the rest of the company. And this is because in order to get funding and in order to get, more professionalized operation, we needed to have a team that it's not dependent on the owners and the founders of the company. And I think this was a major change in the way we do business, in the way we present ourselves, and the way, I manage now the company as the sole founder, that it's still in the day-to-day business.
Thank you for that. So looking back, what advice would you give your younger self? Especially since you just had an important birthday right now, but from a work perspective, what advice would you give your younger self?
I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company when I was 21. And I think the best advice you can get is, when you're gonna choose a partner to start a business, you have to make sure that it's not only a friendship, it's not only something that it's building a business with someone is commitment for long term, commitment to days that are going to be good and days that are not going to be so good, that you have the confidence that you can discuss things that are complicated. And so the best advice I would say I will give to myself, to my younger self, is make sure you choose the right partner, you choose wisely, and you understand that it's a commitment for the long term, and you have to stay. You know, in my previous endeavors, when I started, I didn't choose the right partners, and it went really, really bad. Sometimes I got away very easily and fast because I realized it was not, you have to share your values. You have to share the way you want to do things. You have to share your culture, because if you don't do that, you cannot work with someone that you don't share and you don't the way you want to do your business. And that's the reason why when I started Cloud Gaia, the first thing we discussed was culture and values and how we were going to do things. We discussed a lot more how than what. You know, the what can change, uh, can evolve in the way, but the values and the culture is something that you have to agree since day one.
I love that. Also, I know just from our ongoing conversations that this is something you continue, you don't just do it once. And then you focus on this on a regular basis in terms of, are we living our values? You know, are they defined in the right way? How is it coming alive? And I would add to that your higher purpose. There's been so much research, especially since COVID, that purpose, people want to work for a company that has a really good purpose. And I think from day one, you and your partners had that front and center as well.
Definitely. You know, one of the pillars on Cloud Gaia is that I showed to everyone that joins the company is one video from Daniel Pink, who discusses what motivates us. And I totally agree on what he says, that the motivation on people is, you know, purpose, mastery, and autonomy. And that's what I've been trying to give Cloud Gaia since I started, to give people autonomy to make their own decisions, to allow them to master the what they do, to get better in what they do. That's why we always gave them the opportunity to get unlimited Salesforce certifications, trainings, and the tools to get better, to learn more. And then the purpose. I totally agree that one of the key differentiators today in the companies is to have a purpose, to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. And on that, you know, at Cloud Gaia, being located in Argentina and in many countries in Latin America, one of the key purposes is to give an opportunity, to give a chance for people to participate in projects that are, you know, worldwide recognized brands and very interesting and very challenging projects. And from these countries have this opportunity and have as many as we can the opportunity to participate on this and be part of something that transcends your you know, your neighborhood.
Yeah, I love that. So, well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So, as you look back a little bit, what are some of the challenges that you faced early in your leadership roles? It sounds like one of them was picking the right partners, which is so important, and focusing on values. Anything else that comes to mind?
So, you know, being a professional services company, it's and any company that manages a lot of people, it's all about understanding and creating an environment that people feel that they're, you know, accomplishing something. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes you have to find the way to motivate, to really understand what you're doing. And you know, the challenges is always maintain that in the long term. When we started and when we were 20 people, it was easy. We were all in the same place, all in the same office, and the culture was felt right there, right? because we were all sharing something and we were all growing together. When you get more global and more regional, and your offices are distributed in 7 different countries, and you have people that you have never met that have been working in the company for years, it's challenging to maintain a culture. It's challenging to share your values, your way of doing things. So that's a big challenge, how to maintain our way of doing things, our culture on a multinational, we're still small, but we're a lot more than when we started, right? And that is a big challenge.
Yeah, as you scale,
Yeah.
there's tons of chaos and complexity that comes with it. I think that's a real issue in terms of span, and then having other people manage before you are managing everyone. I mean, it really causes a lot of different challenges. So thank you for sharing that. So, the last few years with the pandemic, the post-pandemic, people trying to find their footing, the market changes, all those different things, it's been challenging for leaders and business owners. What are some of the lessons you've learned or aha moments from the past few years?
So, one of the first lessons I learned is that before COVID, we were all in the same office. Even when we grew, we were always, we had this belief that in order to share knowledge, in order to be a company that it has a unite culture, we all needed to be in the same place, in the same office. So we had a no work from home policy. And then suddenly, from one day to another, that completely drastically changed. Since March 13, 2020, we never came back to the office. So that was a big challenge to know that and to understand that we can do the same thing without being in the same place. Of course, it brought a lot of other challenges, as I was mentioning, because people, when they're working from home, when they're not at the office, they receive a lot of different offers, a lot of different stimulus of, what's the value that this company brings to me? Why I cannot be working for someone else if I'm at my home? I'm just working here. So, those were changes that we had to understand and manage how to make a difference. And we're still learning, right? It is still a curve. It's still something that we learn day by day. And we understand that we have to keep evolving. We have to keep understanding what is that we have to do to maintain our essence. And that is something that we are always learning.
Yeah, in a topic that everyone who's listening to this could relate to, right? I mean, it was a shock. One day it just totally changed. And people still struggle, should they come back? Is it a hybrid approach? What is the right approach, and how do you make sure you stay connected? So thank you for sharing that. So changing topics a little bit and going to current, to today, what would you say your biggest challenge and biggest opportunity is right now?
So our biggest challenge today is to establish our brand and to land strongly in the US market. That is something we have been doing. We have a lot of success in Europe. We have been working there with a lot of big customers. And in Latin America, we are today the largest and the most successful Salesforce partner in Latin America and in Argentina. But we wanna expand, and we're doing a lot of business in the US, but we wanna be, our goal is to be the go-to partner for Salesforce in US. So that is our challenge in 2024. That is what we're trying to accomplish, and of course is a multi-year goal, because you cannot do that in just 1 year. But that is what we're looking on 2024. We want to have a more strong presence in the US market, make our brand well known, and that's a big challenge for us.
Yeah. Okay, great. And opportunity. And I know
Oh,
there's some
definitely.
really great things
That,
going on, so you're actually in a very good position, but doesn't it always happen? Challenge and opportunity typically is
yes,
same
yes.
thing, different side of the coin.
No,
So
every opportunity for us means, growing on team, growing on people. So definitely every big opportunity comes with a challenge.
yeah.
But it's a good challenge to have.
So as the CEO, how do you measure success as a leader?
So, there is a definition on that I love about what success means, and that it's by founder and CTO of HubSpot, a company I also love. Its success is making the people that believed in you look brilliant. So whenever someone, decides to use your product or your service, is taking a chance, and it's believing in you, in what you're telling you're able to do, or your company or your service is able to provide. So if that person that took that decision of selecting you instead of your competition, if you are able to make them really look very bright, successful, proud of that choice that they made, that's success for me.
I love
So,
that.
and not only, I extend that not only to customers, but also your employees, right? Your employees in our industry, they have a lot of choices. They have a lot of places they can decide to work for. And when they feel that they're proud of the place they're working, when you make them look brilliant, that's success. So customers and employees are the way of understanding if you're successful or not.
I love that. That's great. Thank you. So, Nicolas, I know you are an avid reader and you listen to a lot of podcasts. You've given me some great recommendations on that front as well. So what are you reading right now?
So I'm finishing a trilogy by Ken Follett. That it's it starts with the fallen of the giants. It's 100 years history, and it's great. You get to understand how the world went through World War I, World War II, and the Cold War. Of course, it's a novel, and it's very interesting to see how these families go through all these years. I love that. So it's a very, very long 3 books, and I'm loving it.
Oh, good. And then what would you say is your favorite leadership book and why?
So as you mentioned, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts right now. I'm not, and I love the podcast that from Adam Grant, Rethink. And I think it allows you to rethink a lot of things that you sometimes took for granted, sometimes don't understand or don't know why you're doing things, but rethink all those kind of things and rethink the ways you do things makes you a lot better leader.
It's interesting. I have that, as you're saying that, I have that book. I have not read it, but I actually have the hard copy of it. So I'll have to get to that.
It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I know he was one of our keynote speakers not that long ago at Vistage for our members. So
Really, I missed him.
yeah, so that was last year. Well, good. So in closing, and thank you, you've shared so many wonderful things. What would you say are some of the critical success factors or secret sauce of being an effective leader today?
So I think the key, in order to be successful as a leader, one of the things you need to do is always be true to yourself, is speak from your heart the things that you think and the things that you think are the best, and always being a very good listener, understanding that you not always have the truth and that you may be wrong, and to listen a lot more than you speak. I think those are the keys to success, right? Those are the things that makes you um, value the people that work for you, understand them, listen to them, and always know that there's a lot more in diversity, in understanding, in listening to different voices from different people, from different backgrounds, that makes the best decisions, right? That's, I think, it's the key. Never think that you have all the answers. Never think that it's you who make the company great. It's the people you are working with. It's your team. It's the diversity on all the different voices that makes the company great.
Yeah. What great advice. And so many important nuggets that you've shared in the last half hour. So, the advice is so great. It seems simple, but it's harder to implement than people think,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
But
it is. It
really
is.
important.
Sometimes you are always tempted to say, okay, I hear you, but we're gonna do this way because that sometimes it's the easier and the faster way, but you have to allow people to, make mistakes, to try to do the way the team wants to do things, and not always be you saying how we're gonna do things. And that, I think, it's what makes the difference.
Different ways to get to the same outcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Nico, for sharing your insights around the art of leading, which you do very well. So thank you all for listening. This is the stuff that growth is made of.